You're listening to the E-Commerce Minute, your daily dose of e-commerce and tech news, presented by Sumo Heavy. Here's your host, Bart Mraz.
This is the E-Commerce Minute for Tuesday, September 19th, 2017. Toys R Us files for bankruptcy protection.
Toys R Us, the big box store of toy retailers, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in federal court in Richmond, Virginia. The bankruptcy filing helps the Wayne, New Jersey-based toy retailer relieve itself of the debt left over from its $6.6 billion acquisition by Kohlberg, Kravis, Roberts, Bain Capital, and Real Estate Investment Trust Vornado Realty Trust in a 2005 deal valued at $6.6 billion. It will use the protection to come to terms with its debt holders and other creditors to restructure its $5 billion debt, $400 million of which has interest payments due in 2018, and $1.7 billion of which is due in 2019. The retailer, in an announcement late Monday night, said its stores will remain open. The company said it will continue to operate as usual. It's approximately 1,600 Toys R Us and Babies R Us toys, rough day, stores around the world, and that it is prepared for the important holiday season. The company's operations outside of the U.S. and Canada are not part of the protections proceedings, it said. Restructuring that debt would give Toys R Us the financial flexibility to continue its turnaround. Initiatives include improving its website and revamping its Babies R Us business by focusing on items like cribs that are less likely than diapers to be sold on Amazon. The filing ends a chapter that started at a time when private equity dove into the retail industry, buoyed by low interest rates and the attraction of recognizable names. That's come back to haunt many, as debt burdens have made it difficult for retailers to make necessary investments to adjust to the rapidly changing retail industry. Private equity-backed Payless Shoe Stores and Gymboree are among those who have filed for bankruptcy over the last 2 years, amongst many, many others.
Yeah, I think they're not going to be the only ones.
Sign of the times.
Sign of the times. I heard today I was watching some news, financial news, and they got Amazon. Like, okay.
They got Amazon. Wow.
They got Amazon.
That's a cheap out.
That's a cheap shot. That's a cheap shot. Yes, obviously Amazon does the toy stuff and stuff like that, but I think that if Toys R Us can kind of change their stores a little bit more of a destination where kids can come in and play with stuff and do those things, I think that might, actually save them a little bit more than.
So I actually did an informal survey of some people who I know shop there, and overwhelmingly they said that their product selection has changed. I used to work there years ago, and that store is not the store that I used to work in. They keep changing their focus. I know for a while there they had a big focus on video games, and video games went out, and then they came back in, and now you go back in there and it's half video games. So I think, again, it's got to be more of a destination where you can go in and there's actually toys instead of this cheap electronic crap that everybody else is selling.
Yep. It has to be a destination. There's no ways around that. Like, people will buy toys online anyway.
Sure.
But
think about it. Why don't they go and do more of the Best Buy thing, be more showroomy, hands-on, have the kids come and hang out, use the Apple Town Square concept. What's better place to go and just hang out with your kids? Because I know, like I said, I used to work there, and I visit the store that I used to work in from time to time, and it's not a place that I would want to go spend any time in anymore.
No, but if you change the store into a playtime and stuff like that, then kids play with it. It's the whole give them a little bit of taste and they'll want that toy.
Yeah, the funny thing, you remember they had the Times Square location that had the big Ferris wheel inside of it, and they closed it. Well, guess what? I heard they're reopening it. I don't know how the bankruptcy affects this, but they are actually. I don't know if it's the same location, but they are reopening in Times Square. So there you go.
It used to be fun, it was the same thing with what's it called? What was the store right next to Apple? It was the famous one, New York store, toy store.
Oh, yeah.
We're
both drawing a blank. That famous New York toy store, the one that's in the movies.
Like all of them.
We should have done our research a little better.
It wasn't big. Anyway.
All right. Anything else to add?
Kids, go play with more toys.
Stop with the screens. All right. That's your e-commerce minute for today. We'll see you on the internet tomorrow.
That's it for today. If you like the show, make sure you add us as a favorite and share this with your friends. Please follow us on social media at Sumo Heavy. And finally, if you've got a question, comment, or suggestion for the show, call us on Anchor. Until next time, we'll see you on the next e-commerce minute.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.